Hello, I'm Warwick Tregonings and this is a presentation of my subject specialism. For my subject specialism, I wanted to focus on concept art and designing concept art for a game. And the idea I had in mind was a game that would be something cyberpunk and like sci-fi futuristic, but also apocalyptic, with the world starting to be re-inhabited by plants and natural life. So the reason I did this was because I'm quite used to drawing things in a fantasy style, and I wanted to explore something a bit more technical and that I'm not used to, just that I can prove I've got a more diverse range of skills of drawing. On the left hand, you can see some of my concept work on my blog. I'll flip through these quickly. So this is a range of characters at different stages of development in the creative process. Some are more sketchy than others, like this one's quite scruffy. Just to generate some ideas. And then there's some more fully realised ones that are all rendered and coloured and have a bit more backstory to them, so the viewer can get an idea of what they're about. As well as creating pictures of these characters, I also tried to create backstories and how abilities for them may work within a game. So that sort of led me on to creating a story, what I didn't intentionally mean to do, but it just happened as I was developing imagery for the game and this assignment. Just find some more interesting ones quickly. In this game, I had the idea that it'll be three fractions: robotic characters, human, and mutants. So this would play into the overall gameplay and how combat works and the relationships between the characters. So here's a mutant. These typically wouldn't get along with robotic characters. A humanoid character who are seen as the heroes and the most playable characters. At least that's how I envisioned it. This is the landscape of a toxic beach, which is toxic by night and perfectly safe to swim in by day, as you can see there. That's what I tried to get across with the green water. Just find an example of one of the robotic characters quickly. Actually, here's a quick picture of some buildings I tried to do concept art with. I'm not very experienced with designing buildings and architecture and getting all the perspective right, so I know this is not the best. So here are some images of robotic characters. With all these drawings, you might see a theme of this like greenish blue colour. This was done as an indication of like a fuel source within the game that almost everything runs off, and it's also the same thing that created the mutant life forms. And then there's this design's just a typical like weaker enemy mutant, looks like it's always in pain. It's got massive pustules over its body of that green fuel stuff that if they burst will mutate the character. Okay, right. Below all the imagery I've got all my research over the weeks of this project, covering things from drawing techniques, games, art styles, film, media, modelling, and just anything I thought was relevant. So I've even covered stuff like fashion here to get some ideas of character design, because I wanted to create a creepy sort of nurse looking costume for one of my characters. And I thought looking at some vintage fashion would be a good way of doing that with the cinched in waist and accentuated like female form. Now here you can see some other designs. This is what I call the robot graveyard. It's a forest with a broken down robot in it and some other wildlife around it. Here's a good example of the three factions. On the far right there's a robot, in the middle a mutant, and then a human. It's a closer look at some of the designs. I was thinking one of the locations I designed was like an adult nightclub, and these are some of the designs for entertainment. So there's this like nude holographic robot that's got like emojis on her, error, heart, and cherries, as well as some more typical dancers. Horizon Zero Dawn was a big inspiration for this project. I did a research about it and how they merge like futuristic technology and overgrown nature into this world. And I think I did this, but I wanted it to be more futuristic than like natural life. Here's a character, an early character I drew that has the ability to transform into their corresponding zodiac sign, so this is a Taurus. And yeah, I also looked at some just normal cyberpunk, steampunk sort of stuff, and Final Fantasy VII. And that's about it. All research can be seen properly on my blog. Thank you for listening.